Toonami Studios.
Big Mouth, Season 4. Isn't it amazing this show made it this far? I just think it's kind of impressive that this show in particular managed to stay relevant for this long, especially in an era where Netflix is just like, let's get rid of everything that isn't working. I guess there's enough of a fan base here. I don't know. It's just surprising to me that this is the one that so far has just stuck around and made it this far. That's kind of cool. It's an okay season. Big Mouth has always been hit or miss with me, just because I get the idea. I think it's a really funny concept and it works really well. Sometimes the humor goes a little too stupid. Sometimes some jokes don't work well. Sometimes the story just kind of annoys me and gets kind of boring. This season is a lot of just like, okay, yeah, that's kind of funny, I guess. I like the idea of what's being presented here more than I like the actual thing that's happening. And that's okay. Like, sometimes that's just what happens when you talk about stuff like this. Not everything is going to be perfect. Sometimes you get stuff that happens like this, and it's fine. It's not like an egregious season where I'm like, this is so annoying. It's not like Animaniacs to me, where it's like so inadvertently trying to be this thing that's pissing me off. This is just more like, okay, this is happening. It's kind of funny. It's okay. Like, there's nothing to this season. In previous seasons of this show, I like the idea of dealing with the shame wizard and having the idea of shame coming into the play for these characters. I like the idea of going to like the human resources where all these monsters are. This one, the big kind of thing is, oh, here's the anxiety mosquito who's going to show you how you're giving yourself anxiety and all that stuff. And I think that could lead to some funny stuff. But what we saw wasn't that funny with the anxiety mosquito. Now, there are certain elements that I think worked with the character. Some of it was kind of cool. I like the way it handled the idea of how anxiety can lead to depression, can lead to you having this fear and this guilt towards things in your life. I think that's a cool angle to play up there. And at the end of this season, I do think there was a very positive message about, yeah, it's okay. Sometimes things happen, you know? Like, it's okay to be anxious, but you also have to be thankful for what you have, which was kind of a cool angle that this show did play up, and I respected that a lot. Everything else with it, I'm like, this joke is kind of not really going anywhere or anything. There wasn't really any, like, arcs this season. Like, we had a few. There was kind of an arc where Nick is trying to figure out if he is someone who's capable of love, for a better term, or how that's going to affect him and how anxiety plays into that. And for the most part, I guess it's kind of funny. It works for the most part. It was honestly kind of just like, yeah, I get why you'd go here with this character, but we know in the end he's going to be okay. He's going to figure himself out, so I wasn't like upset by that. And Andrew himself too. Andrew was like very interesting this season because he didn't do a whole lot, which is kind of weird because I think John Mulaney has kind of become a bigger presence in the world in these past couple of years. So I'd expect that his screen time in a show like this would be like a better thing than what he got. I actually really liked his storyline about this fear of death because that also plays into this idea. It's not just about like hormones and sex. Your anxiety can lead you to think just walking outside your door can lead you to this uncertainty of living and death. And I think that's a cool angle to play up here. I like that a lot. That's the only thing his character did this season, though. There were some moments of him in the earlier stuff. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Some other stuff, I'm like, okay, that's weird. But it's fine. It's weird because the show could have been so much more. Like, I really think it could have. It could have had a lot of more things going for it this season. But it was just kind of like, yeah, we're here. They cut back a lot with the Coach Steve character, which I'm really thankful for because I find him annoying. Like, he's not even in every episode, which I'm like, really? Same with the Ghost of Duke Ellington. He's in, I think, 2 or 3 episodes, which I'm kind of amazed by. I didn't want to go further down that rabbit hole. This idea also came into play too early on in the season where it's like, there are more people in the universe and like they're not the center of attention, which I'm like, I know that. We know there's people in the universe. You don't have to tell us that. You could just be like, look at all these other people in the world. We get a lot of other references to other people having their own hormone monster, which I think is kind of funny. But it's also like, we know that's the point of the show. So why don't you just focus on our characters instead of doing all this other stuff? I don't know. I don't know if this season was for me altogether. Like, it was fine. Jessie, again, had some really interesting storylines, but ultimately it got resolved pretty quickly for her, where her depression just kind of went away, then reappeared, then went away, then reappeared. I guess like depression in real life. But at the same time, like, this is really, we made a whole deal about her being moved away to a new city. To have her come back that early in the season, like, it didn't really do that much for me. And maybe it didn't work for me because I watched it all in one sitting because I had a bunch of free time, so I figured I'll get this done. Maybe that's why it didn't work for me. But I'm just thinking this isn't really where I wanted it to go, and that's okay. Like I said, this show has always been very hit or miss for me. When it hits hard. When it misses really hard. And there's some good stuff in this season. Some of my favorite stuff in this season were the Jay and Lola relationship, just because those are two characters that benefited from being together because there's these two very flamboyant attitudes being presented there. So having those two play off each other, I think worked really well. I think Connie and Maury this season were really good, really toned back in the way of some of their jokes and their actions, which I think really worked for those characters. And that was really cool to see. I think having those characters again, they work really well together. And I think some of the stuff they did with Devon this season, there was one episode in particular of Devon as more of a central focus that I think really worked, and it played a really interesting, it was the best song of the show, of the season for that matter. Just this idea of black coding or black code switching or something, where you can you act like a different type of person depending on who you're around if you're an African American person, that's a funny idea. I won't touch too much on it because obviously, but it was a funny idea. And also, they did handle the stuff with Missy okay, for reasons in particular that she can't say a certain word because of the voice actress. That's funny, but also, I thought she wasn't going to be voicing the character this season. I think there was 1 or 2 episodes that Jenny Slate wasn't voicing Missy, and I'm I thought it was supposed to be the whole season that she didn't voice her. That's okay. She did fine. It was fine. It's just a weird season, man, where it's just no, the jokes are there, but are they that funny? Are we getting worn out from this? I might be getting worn out from this show. I don't know. I'm not feeling it the way I have before for other stuff. So maybe that's just on me, and maybe I'll move past it. Of course I will. It's just another one of those shows that I watched that I thought was okay. So overall, this season, like I've been trying to say here, it's kind of a hit or miss. And I think more often than not, it just kind of lagged in certain ways from I know the beats here. This is where we're going. Am I going to feel this later? No. Am I going to think about this after this weekend? I doubt it. So Big Mouth Season 4, I am going to give a 5 out of 10. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.